Hello everyone and welcome to another FeedArmy video. My name is Emmanuel and today we're talking about data feed optimization specifically for AI-driven results, AI overviews and AI mode in Google search. And I'm going to keep this tight, no filler, just what you actually need to know and do. If you're a merchant who's never really dug into product feed beyond the basics, this video is for you. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what attributes to focus on, how to structure them correctly, and why this matters more than most people think. The first two attributes are spotted a few days ago, and the rest of the attributes were spotted by Hanna Koptsova on LinkedIn. So do follow her if you want to stay updated anything related to PPC. So let's go and get into this. Before I show you the attributes, let me give you some context because I want you to understand why you're doing this, not just copy-paste values blindly. Google AI Services, AI Mode and AI Overviews, they pull the product information to generate answers for shoppers. The quality of the data you submit directly affects whether your products show up in those answers and how well they're represented. I ran a small case study with one of my clients. We improved their product data, not their bids, not their creative, just the data, and we saw a 80% improvement in Google ad performance, and their cost per click dropped too. That's the power of clean, complete, well-structured data feeds. So when I say this matters, I do mean it. Now, Google has explicitly called out 8 attributes that help with AI-driven services. Some are existing attributes you may have heard of and some are brand new, so let's go through all of them. The first one is product highlight. This is the attribute where you submit the key selling points of your product. Think of it as your bullet points on Amazon listings, but instead your Google feed. Google explicitly states that submitting this attribute helps customers discover your products on AI-driven services like AI Mode in Google Search. So this is one you want to prioritize. Now, here's something important about how you submit this, and this trips a lot of people up. Use a TSV file, not a CSV file. And here's why. If your product highlights contains comma, a CSV file will treat that comma as a column separator, which completely breaks your data. Let me give you a real example. So say you have a watch and one of your highlights says, this analog digital pilot watch features a titanium case, comma, and a green nylon band. If you submit that in the CSV file, Google sees the comma after titanium case and splits it into 2 separate values. So instead of one highlight, you now have 2, and the second one just says, and a green nylon band. That's broken data. In a CSV file, you can work around this by encapsulating the value with double quotes. So it would be something like this. Double quote, this analog digital pilot watch features a titanium case, comma, and a green nylon band, dot, and then double quote again. But honestly, it's cleaner and safer to just use TSV files. Avoid the headache altogether. Or what we do at FeedArmy is use a Google Sheet. And for any commas that are part of the sentence, we add a backslash in front of commas. Now, what should you actually put in the product highlights? Focus on selling benefits. What makes the product great for customers? Why should they buy it? What problems does it solve? Do not use product highlights to list technical specs like dimensions or connector types. That's what the next attribute is for. And that is the second attribute, which is the product detail. This is where your technical specifications live. So think of it as a specs table you'd see on a product page. The stuff like materials, battery type, display type, LED count, dimensions, etc. Product details has 3 sub-attributes, and you need to understand all 3. The section name. This is the category or grouping for the spec. For a watch, for example, you would say general, battery, display, design, lighting. Attribute name. This is the specific property within that section. For example, material, brand, LED count, modes. And then you have the attribute value. This is the actual value, for example, titanium, your watch brand, 8 total, 5 different settings. So that's, for example, for 8 total is then the LED count, and the modes is, for example, 5 different settings. So if I'm building out product details for tactical watch, it might look like this. General material titanium, general brand, my watch brand, lighting LED count 8 in total, and etc. Do you see the pattern? Section, attribute name, and then the attribute value. 3 levels, structured consistently. This kind of data is actually what AI systems need to accurately represent your product in a response. When someone asks Google something like, what's a good tactical watch with a long battery life? Your structured product detail data is what helps surface that answers accurately. The key distinction to remember is highlights are for benefits, product details are for specs. Don't mix them up. They serve different purposes and different parts of the customer journey. The third attribute, and this one is brand new, is variant option. So you probably know that Google already has standard variant attributes: the color, size, material, pattern, age group, and gender. Those cover most common cases. But what about products where your variants differ in ways that aren't covered by those standard attributes? Merchants have complained about this for a very long time. Now finally we have a solution. So let's say you sell laptops and you have 2 versions, one with a GeForce 4070 graphics card and one with a GeForce 5070. There's no standard graphic cards attribute in Google Feed specs. And this is exactly what variant option is built for. Variant options has 2 attributes: the name, the type of the variant, for example, graphic card, and the value, the specific option for that product variant, for example, GeForce 4070 or GeForce 5070. So for your first laptop variant, you'd submit graphic card and then colon GeForce 5070, and for the second variant, you would add graphic card colon GeForce 5070. Now there's an important requirement here. Variant option works together with the item group ID attribute and the item group title attribute, which is the new one. If you're not already using the item group ID to group your products together, you need to set that up first. Variant options is built on top of that grouping structure. This attribute is a big deal because it allows AI services to understand the differences between your variants in meaningful, structured terms, not just inferred from a product title. And that brings us to the 4th attribute, item group title. If you're already grouping your product variants with the item group ID, this one is important to add as well, and Google explicitly recommends it. Here's the idea. When you have variants of the same product, like a laptop available in different configurations, each variant has its own individual product title. But item group title gives the whole group a shared common title that sits above all of these individual variant titles. Think of it this way. Your individual variant title might be something like a flip phone 23rd generation Ultra Max 128 gigabytes. That's specific and variant level. But the item group title would just be like flip phone 23rd generation. Clean, short, no variant specific detail in it. It's actually very similar to the short title attribute. Why does this matter for AI? Because when AI services are trying to understand your product range, having a clear group title helps them group and represent your variants together. Why does this matter for AI? Because when AI services are trying to understand your product range, having a clear group title helps them group and represent your variants correctly in a conversational response. Without it, you're leaving that interpretation up to Google, and you want to be in control of that. A few rules to keep in mind. The item group title must be the same across all variants that shares the same item group ID. It has to be different from the individual title itself. Keep it shorter and more generic than the normal titles. And don't include variant specific details like the size or color or the other variant options in the group title. Those belong in the individual titles. One more thing, the character limit is 150 characters and Google recommends putting the most important details first, since visual ads can cut off around 70 characters or less depending on the service. And I've created a whole video course about title optimization, which includes how Google is currently cutting off ad formats. Now here's one that a lot of merchants will overlook completely, which is related products. Google explicitly states that this attribute is primarily intended for use in conversational experiences like AI mode in Google search. So this one is directly in scope for what we're trying to do today. The idea is simple. You're telling Google, here are other products in my inventory that are connected to this product. And the connection can be one of 6 relationship types. Part of set, for example, a chair that belongs to a dining table set. A required part, a component the product needs to function, like a battery for a battery-operated lamp. Often bought with, a product commonly purchased together with this one, like a phone case with a phone. Substitute, a product that could replace this one, for example a comparable printer from your range. A different brand, the same product sold under a different brand name, like a house brand version. Accessory, something that works with the product but isn't required, like a webcam as an accessory to a desktop computer. Now this attribute has 3 sub-attributes you need to include together. The relationship type, which of these 6 types applies. The identifier type, either if it's a GTIN if you're using GTIN barcodes, or the ID if you're using the product ID from your own data source. And the identifier, which is the actual value, either the GTIN or the product ID of the related product. So for a camera that needs a battery and a lens and comes with a optional carrying case, you'd submit required part, ID, and then the ID of the battery, and then required part, ID of the lens, and then accessory, GTIN of the carrying case. You can submit up to 30 related product relationships per product, and a product can have multiple relationship types, so don't limit yourself to just one. One important rule, don't comma separate multiple identifiers inside a single entry. Each related product needs its own separate attribute entry. Why does this matter for AI? Because when someone is in a conversation with Google AI and asks, what else do I need to use with this product? Or are there any alternatives? This is the data that fuels those answers. And if your competitor has this data and you don't, their products are going to show up in those conversations and yours won't. Next up are questions and answers. This one is also explicitly flagged by Google as being primarily for conversational AI experiences. The concept is exactly how it sounds. You provide pre-written questions and answers about your product, and Google uses this to fuel AI-driven responses when shoppers are asking detailed questions. It has 2 sub-attributes, and these are quite simple. The question, and this question can be up to 1,000 characters, and then the answer, which can also be up to 1,000 characters. You can submit up to 30 questions and answers pairs per product. And the total combined size across all pairs is limited to 10,000 characters. Think about the kinds of questions your customers actually ask. What do they message your support team about? What shows up in your product reviews? What do people ask in Q&A sections on Amazon for similar products? Those are your starting points. For example, if you sell a tea kettle, your question and answer pairs might look like the following. The question, what temperature settings does this kettle have? And then the answer, it has 5 settings. 175 Fahrenheit for green and white tea, 197 for oolong, 200 Fahrenheit for French press coffee, and 212 for boiling. And then another question can be, how long does the keep warm function hold temperature? And then the answer would be, it maintains the selected temperature for up to 15 minutes. Or for example, does it have safety features? And then the answer would be, it has a auto shut off to prevent operation when empty and a protective lid designed against water splashback. Now, I want to flag something important here. Google says don't duplicate data you've already submitted in other attributes like the description, product detail, or product highlight. The Q&A should be adding new, useful, non-repetitive information that's already in your data feed. Also, and this is a big one, Google explicitly says if you're submitting the document link attribute and the same information is available in those documents, don't also add it in the Q&A section. Google will extract information from documents directly, which brings us to the next attribute. Oh, and the same formatting rules apply for the product highlight. So watch out for commas and colons inside your Q&A values, because these can break the parsing. So use TSV if possible, or escape those characters with a backslash in Google Sheets. The document link is one of the most powerful attributes in this list, and probably the one most merchants will not have. Again, Google explicitly says this attribute is primarily intended for conversational AI experiences. Here's what it does. You provide links to a PDF document about your product. Things like user manuals, assembly instructions, training guides, package inserts. Google then uses those documents to answer detailed questions about your products in AI mode conversations. Think about what that means. If a shopper is in Google AI mode and asks, how do I assemble this piece of furniture? And you've linked your assembly PDF file in your feed, Google can pull that information directly and give a detailed answer. And that is a huge trust signal, and it helps your product stand out in AI-driven responses. The format is simple. Just add URL pointing to the public accessible PDF file. You can submit up to 5 document links per product separated by commas. For example, the manual PDF and then the assembly instructions PDF. A few requirements to keep in mind. The URL must start with HTTPS. The file must be a PDF and maximum file size is 50 megabytes. The document must be publicly accessible, meaning Googlebot has to be able to crawl it without a login or restrictions in your robots.txt file. So make sure the robots.txt has been updated. And the URL should be stable, meaning it shouldn't change to be reused for different documents. Google also says the document should be about your specific product, not just your company in general, and submit high quality authoritative documents with clear structure and purpose. The best types of documents to submit are user guides, manuals, assembly instructions, product specifications, and package insert information. Any of that technical depth that helps a shopper really understand your product. The last attribute on the list today is popular rank. This one is also flagged by Google as being primarily for AI mode in Google search, specifically to help consumers make more informed buying decisions. The concept is simple. You tell Google how popular this product is compared to the rest of your inventory, expressed as a number between 0 and 100. If your product is your best seller, it gets a higher number like 97. If it's a slow mover or an older product, it gets a lower number like 12. Google uses this to help shoppers understand what's performing well. When someone asks AI mode, what's a good option for X? Google can factor in popularity signals from your feed to surface the right products. A few important rules. Only submit a number between 0 and 100. However, you can use one decimal point, like 95.5 is fine. Do not add percentage sign. And this is important. The ranking needs to be accurate and relative to your actual sales data. Don't just put 100 on everything. That defeats the purpose and may work against you. Google also recommends updating this value when there's a substantial change in product popularity. So consider doing this through a supplement data source on a regular basis, maybe monthly or quarterly, depending on how much your sales data changes. For a beginner, a simple approach is take your top 10 sellers and give them a score between 90 and 100. And for your mid-range performance, between 50 and 80. And your slow-moving or old inventory, get below 50. refine over time as you get more confident with your sales data. Alright, so let's do a little recap of the 8 attributes Google explicitly connects to AI-driven services. Product highlights, which are the selling benefits, so use TSV and watch out for commas. Product details, these are technical specs structured in 3 levels, so the section, attribute name, and attribute value. The variant options, which is the variant differences that go beyond the standard attributes like the color and size. The item group title, which gives the variant group a clean shared title that AI can understand. Related products tells Google what accessories, required parts, substitutes, and companion products exist in your catalog. Questions and answers, these are pre-written FAQs that fuel conversational AI responses. The document link, the PDF documents are like manuals and guides that Google can use to answer detailed questions. And then popular rank, a 0 to 100 signal that tells Google how well this product sells relative to your inventory. But here's what I want to leave with you, because this is the most important thing in this video. Don't stop at just these 8 attributes. The attributes I mentioned in this video are just here because Google specifically said so. But every attribute you improve in your feed contributes. Your titles, your descriptions, your product identifiers, your categories, your images, all of it matters. AI systems need complete, accurate, well-structured data across the board to represent your products correctly. What I do for every client is improve everything, not cherry-picking a few attributes and call it a day. We go through the entire feed, find the gaps, fix the structure, and what's missing is added. That case study I mentioned at the start of this video, the 80% performance improvements, that came from treating the feed as a whole, not just a few attributes that have been added. For AI improvements, start with these 8 attributes because they are the ones explicitly tied to AI services, but then keep going with all the other attributes. So that's it for today. 8 attributes, all of them directly connected to AI-driven results in Google search. Now you know what they are, how to structure them, and what mistakes to avoid. I'll drop all the Google document links in the description below so you can go deeper on any of these. Go read them, they're actually well worth the read. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, leave a comment downstairs, or if you need someone to assist you, feel free to reach out. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.